Athens, the cradle of democracy, art, and philosophy. A city of marble temples and restless minds, where freedom of speech was worshipped, and yet where truth would soon be condemned. Amid this brilliance walked a man like no other. Barefoot, unshaven, his eyes sharp with questions that could pierce the soul. His name was Socrates. He owned nothing. He wrote nothing. He claimed to know nothing. And yet, from the moment he stepped into the marketplace, the world of thought would never be the same. While others sought power or fame, Socrates sought only one thing: truth. He wandered through the streets of Athens, asking questions that stripped away illusions, exposing politicians, poets, and generals as men who only pretended to know. To many, he was a nuisance. To the youth, he was a spark of freedom. To the rulers, a dangerous infection spreading through the city's mind. And so, in the very heart of the world's first democracy, began the story of how one man's pursuit of truth would lead him to drink poison, and how his death would echo for millennia. Socrates believed that ignorance was not a curse, it was the beginning of wisdom. He questioned everything: justice, virtue, the meaning of good. The unexamined life is not worth living, he would say, and with every question he tore open the comfortable lies people told themselves. But Athens was changing. After years of war with Sparta, defeat had humbled her pride. The people wanted certainty, not doubt. The city that once praised free speech now feared it. When the young gathered around Socrates, sons of generals, playwrights, and politicians, the elders began to whisper. They said he was corrupting youth, mocking the gods, undermining the city's moral foundation. Among his followers was Alcibiades, a brilliant but reckless man who betrayed Athens during the war, and Critias, who would later become one of the tyrants who bathed the city in blood. It didn't matter that Socrates had never ruled anyone, never commanded armies. In the eyes of Athens, he had planted the seeds of rebellion, not through violence, but through thought. The same voice that once inspired the youth of Athens was now being painted as a threat to its survival. The questioner had become the accused, and soon the city that once called him wise would call him guilty. The year was 399 BCE. Socrates, 70 years old, stood before 500 jurors. His accusers charged him with impiety and corrupting the youth. But behind those words lay something deeper: fear. Athens wanted to silence the voice that refused to bow, and yet, when given the chance to beg for mercy, Socrates did the opposite. He spoke calmly, fearlessly, his words cutting through the courtroom like sunlight through smoke. Men of Athens, I am not your enemy.
I am your gadfly, sent by the gods to stir your souls from sleep. He could have begged.
He could have promised silence. Instead, he told them that he deserved not death, but reward for serving truth above comfort. The jurors were stunned. Some laughed.
Others seethed.
By a narrow margin, they found him guilty. And then came the question: what punishment should he receive? Socrates smiled faintly and said, I would suggest free meals for life at the city's expense. The courtroom erupted in outrage. The verdict was sealed: death by hemlock. Yet Socrates did not tremble. His students, Plato, Kreator, Apollodorus, wept in disbelief. But the old philosopher only said, no harm can come to a good man, neither in life nor in death. The man who taught others how to think would now teach them how to die. In his final hours, Socrates sat in his cell surrounded by his friends. Outside, the city slept. The same city that once praised him, now eager to forget him. Plato would later write of that night, the calm, the laughter, the warmth of a man unafraid. Socrates spoke not of vengeance, but of the soul, eternal, untouchable by death. When Kreator begged him to escape, he refused. To flee would betray everything he had ever taught. Would I preach virtue all my life and in the end act unjustly? As dawn broke, the jailer brought the cup, dark, cold, filled with the poison of hemlock. Socrates took it in his hand, and with a steady gaze he said, "Let us be on our way, I to die, you to live. Which of us goes to the better lot, no one knows but God." He drank. Slowly the poison crept up his legs. He lay back, speaking softly to his students until his voice faded. And then, silence. The man who questioned gods and kings alike met death with serenity. No crown, no tomb,
No monument.
only an idea that would outlive empires. In that quiet cell, Athens had killed one man, but given birth to philosophy itself. Years passed,
Athens would fall, rise, and fade again.
but the words of Socrates, recorded by Plato, would travel far beyond Greece, shaping minds from Rome to the Renaissance. From Newton to Nietzsche, his death became not a tragedy, but a mirror, reflecting our own fear of truth. For every age that silences those who question, another Socrates is reborn. He taught that wisdom begins not with knowledge, but with humility. That courage is not found in battle, but in staying true to conscience.
And that the greatest freedom is the freedom to think. Socrates never wrote a word, yet his silence speaks louder than any book.
His death reminds us that truth has a price, but lies cost far more. In a world that rewards conformity and punishes thought, his story asks us the same question he once asked Athens. Do we truly love the truth, or only the comfort of our ignorance?